Oh my god, let's get back in this saddle. I don't remember what I was doing. That's loud. That is loud. That's loud to me. I don't know if that's loud to you, but my god, that was loud to me. Let's uncrank that. All right. My brain is like going crazy. Like, oh my god, uncrank that. There's got to be a joke there. Uncrank that. Civilian boy. Here we go. Okay, back to 80 days. I remember I was riding the Taj Mahal. I am riding the Taj Mahal to Calcutta. I don't remember who I was riding it with. I think the Queen of the city of Agra, I think is what's happening. I don't know. Let's just do this. One of the scarlet-cloaked city officials rang a brass bell, answering tolls echoed from all corners of the city of Agra. While the sound still echoed in my ears, the city lurched underneath me, tilting first to the left, then abruptly to the right. We were off. The walking city had begun its circuit. She settled down into a regular rhythm after a few tottering steps, and by evening I barely noticed the slight tilt and yaw, developing a kind of sea legs. Oh my god. Let me tell you, there is nothing regular about the Taj Mahal walking around, but that's... You know, let me fix that mustache for you, Mr. Fogg. Monsieur. Truth be told, the sound was more difficult to accustom myself to than Agra's multi-jointed gait. Her granite-clad feet pounded into the earth with enormous shuddering crashes that could be heard even from our rarefied station. I stayed in the city center. The plateau atop Agra's structure had been covered with a thick layer of fertile mud and planted with grasses and flowers, though you could see the iron underneath where a bush had been dug up. A few birds even perched in the trees, but on closer inspection I realized that half of them were cunning mechanicals with feathers of interlocking jade and amber and voices pure as gold. They sang and chittered and preened alongside their flesh-and-blood compatriots. It was only fitting for a migrating city with an engine for a heart. Hey, I'm zestful. That's nice. Oh, I should check my inventory. What am I trying to accomplish? Oh my god, I've got a lot of stuff. Where was I going? What was my plan? It's been like 2 months. Oh boy. My master and I took a turn about the top deck. And what did we do? What did we do? Marveling at the glistening white marble edifice of the Taj Mahal, bounded by the clear blue water and manicured gardens. A photographer had set up a booth on the lawn and was doing a brisk trade, taking ferrotypes of families posing in front of the magnificent monument. It was so quick. He developed, fixed, varnished, and handed the ferrotype to the customer in a matter of minutes. He glanced over at me appraisingly. Wow, I'm having a hard time today. Photograph? Whoa. Photograph? He asked in passable French. £10. Yes, please. Oh. I don't know how Mr. Fogg is gonna feel. Get in here, man. No. Okay, perfect. Thus rebuffed, I posed alone as the photographer made his equipment ready. There was a blinding flash of white light, and by the time my vision had returned to normal, the ferrotype was already being pressed into my hands. A handsome article. Get over yourself. My smile gleamed almost as white as the marble of the Taj Mahal in the background. I tucked the ferrotype into my pocket, and we continued about our promenade. Your funds have gone down a little. I'm amazed that that didn't deteriorate my relationship with Fogg. He's usually so not happy when I do anything that he doesn't love. Calcutta free from telegraph lines. Oh, what a... Congrats. Is that a good thing? I don't know. I was taking a small digestive walk after a substantial breakfast when I saw a young lady in a bright pink sari and yellow-lensed goggles pitch herself over the outer railings. I leapt across the deck and immediately entangled myself in some coils of rope which toppled me onto the railings in a slightly less heroic fashion than intended. I peered over the edge, bracing myself for a traumatic sight, but the woman waved up at me cheerily, suspended from the railing by a length of thick hemp rope knotted about her waist. I waved back, though my fixed expression could hardly have been described as it's in italics, so I assume I'm supposed to read this like nonchalant. Ugh. I feel bad for anyone who knows anything about French or even that French exists, because I'm sure that that was like nails on a chalkboard, even by the kindest critic. Anyway, the woman sought me out at luncheon, by which time I was much recovered, and she introduced herself as Dea, I don't know. I cannot use your first name. What does that option mean? Mademoiselle Dea. A pleasure to make your acquaintance. She laughed in surprise. Your manners are very fancy. I don't remember how I had characterized Passepartout last time. This might be completely out of character. It's been forever. I thought we had lost you earlier, I remarked. You gave me a terrible fright. She grinned. I must admit, I waited for you to show up before I jumped. An excellent performance. I could not fault her theatrics. She bowed. I'll make it up to you. Agra is a big city, and all the good stuff is below decks. I'll take you down tomorrow if you want to do more than sightseeing. That's in italics, so I can only assume that it's pronounced like Sion. Sorry. She swept away into the crowd, leaving me to contemplate her challenge over my meal. Your character is now courageous. Ooh. Something's happening. You're quite the flamboyant type, I see. Thank you, I think. Of course. I went below decks. I am a man who cannot resist a challenge. Oh my god, am I gonna fight her? Dea told me some of the history and layout as we descended a series of stairs of increasing ricketiness. I followed until we reached a stop. My guide raised her hand. There was no one about. I was beset by the sudden thought that she had brought me to this empty spot to rob me. Then she opened a pair of carved doors, saying with grave ceremony, "Welcome to the lower city." I blinked my eyes against the light, and as they adjusted I saw where we were. I had come to a township built within the echoing bowels of the city, complete with shops and residences, and even children playing games on the street, though these children tossed adjustable spanders and brass rings. Oh my god, what is this? Gigantic dials and levers arrayed the distant walls whose purpose Dea attempted to explain, though it was rather too technical for my uninitiated mind. Dea was clearly a well-known figure and introduced me to her fellow lower-sitting folk with great pride. Almost everyone wore tool belts and yellow-lensed goggles. Are these artificers? What is this? So, she asked, turning on the spot with hands outstretched, what do you think of my home, Frenchman? It is fantastic, a hidden world, I declared. I would not have dreamed such a place existed beneath the parks of the upper deck. The truth is, I think that all cities have a below decks, my friend. Agra's is just more obvious, or less, depending. There was something hinted at in her tone, I thought. She smiled weakly. Don't worry, Passepartout, she murmured. I'm not going to eat you. That's when Mormons mumble, I guess. Madam, But before I could finish my thought, the bells rang out for our stop. The room around me exploded into controlled chaos. Brass-goggled men and women pulled enormous levers, threw open iron gates, and shouted instructions at each other in a storm of languages. The city lurched to a halt, and the great heart stilled. We had arrived in our destination, the British city of Calcutta. I never saw Dea again. That's okay. Alright, here we go. What can we get? Actually, I'm gonna explore. I don't know what time the exploration option goes away, so I better make the most of it. Calcutta was an industrial city which had built its wealth on opium, textiles, and indigo, but that was not to say it was uncultured. The chai shops which I passed by were all thronged with affluent babus and behenjis discussing poetry and literature. It's just giving me words that it knows I'm not going to know, so thanks. And the sticky subject of Indian independence. It seemed there was discontent brewing in several places, and I wondered if we would be able to avoid all consequences of it. Where's the most dangerous right now? I asked, and a woman nodded. I hear the mountains to the east are teeming with separatists. They mean to attack Chittagong. The mountains to the east. I don't know where that's referring to. Okay, what do we got? Hooded cloak. Urban traveler. Air traveler. I will sell this. Get out of here. Handsome fair type of myself, looking quite dashing. Nice. What do we got? American wardrobe. That might be useful later. Neck cushion, frequent flyer. I will take that. And what about this evening jacket? Oh my god, I forgot I had so much stuff. No. Hold on. Just for the sake of filling my inventory, I will take that. Oh wait, and I need to see. Let's see. What have I got? Where am I taking it? So this is all gear. That's useful in Benares. Oh my god. Okay, let's... Can I seriously... Alright, whatever. Okay, Benares... Chittagong... Benares and Chittagong. Okay. Let's see. Chittagong's right here. Where is Benares? If only I knew anything about geography. This would be so much easier. Oh, I passed it. Okay, so that's not happening. Then I guess I may as well... Oh, wait. Tomorrow at 9 a.m. Separatists are planning an attack. Okay, but also I can sell my thing there, so I guess sometimes you gotta make sacrifices. As night fell... Let's attend to Monsieur Fogg. Alright, off we go. Separatists, please just try not to attack too hard. Oh wait. Something, okay, hold on. Okay. We boarded the SS Thunder of the Apcar shipping line on its way to Hong Kong via Singapore, but the smokestacks barely had time to steam off their morning dew before we were approaching Chittagong to pick up more laborers. Was it that Chittagong was going to be attacked, or that people from Chittagong were going to attack? That's maybe critical. We made a full stop. We hid, but soon found there was little order aboard ship, and when the boat left once more, we had room and board, and all for no cost. Monsieur Fogg, I think, knew our status as stowaways, but chose to neglect the fact in the interests of sport. The captain, with whom we quickly made friends, promised us a journey of 10 days rather than the usual figure of 12. I don't know what I did, but I feel like it was good. Fogg spotted on fine form, you're darn right he is. Oh wait, what? What? Oh, I'm stupid. I'm an idiot. When it said disembarked, I didn't realize it was asking if I wanted to get off in Chittagong. Okay, I suck. Well, now I'm going to Singapore. Oops. We dined at the Actually, that's actually pretty good, because I think I paid to go to Chittagong, and then I stowed away to Singapore. That's what I was doing there. Oops. I did not even realize that I did that. Okay. Asked Monsieur Fogg, outright whether he was an opium trader, and I his factotum. I leapt in to deny this accusation vehemently. I'm going to pronounce everything wrong if I know that I can't say it right. Committing rather a breach of etiquette in the process. Captain Ong guffawed and commanded our glasses filled once more. It is a profitable business, he advised. Every word is one that I can't pronounce right, I guess. A man can make his fortune in opium if, and he addressed the last to my master, he is not squeamish. Morals are not squeamishness, I replied coldly. The opium trade profits through addiction and exploitation. Men and women choose to become addicted. Captain Ong disagreed calmly. I believe in freedom. The people of China are not children, though we need to mind them like an over-anxious parent. Monsieur Fogg gave me a quelling look before turning to the captain. Your business is your own, Captain Ong, as long as you conduct me to Hong Kong in 10 days as agreed. The captain raised a glass. Fear not, Mr. Fogg. I have anxious customers awaiting my cargo after all. Oops. So wait, am I just going straight to Hong Kong through Singapore? I guess I am. Okay, sure. I awoke thinking of... tough choice. Croissants. Not just any croissants, my friends, but the croissants made on the corner of the street where I grew up. Delicately crisp on the outside, yielding within. I could smell them, almost feel the texture of the pastry on my tongue. I was so lost in contemplation that I was very nearly late to attend my master's shave. And then that says that. I was late to attend his shave. Does that mean that someone else was shaving him and I almost missed the show? Oh man, that's rough. Can't believe I missed that, almost. Hong Kong threatened by telegraph lines. We'll do it. Okay, so I don't really remember what's going on in this world right now, but it sounds like the telegraph lines are kind of on their way to wreck everyone. The Lascars who made up the crew seemed to find me an object of great curiosity. I found them a great annoyance, as they would not be put off from asking incomprehensible questions as I went about my daily business. A young Malay shyly asked me what Paris was like. It is beautiful, I said cautiously. The sign glitters like a snake, the theaters spill light and color onto the streets. The cafes are full of men and women debating and drinking endless cups of coffee. There are beautiful women and beggars all on the same street. She looked at me curiously. I took a deep breath, dissatisfied with my answer. Never mind my thoughts. Perhaps you will see it yourself one day. She nodded, accepting my answer. I doubted she would ever set foot in the city of my birth. Yeah, not if I can help it. I'm gonna build a wall. Oh, my care is highly calming. What a nice bro. Giving me that, the props that I deserve. Today we stopped at Singapore on the southernmost tip of the Malay Peninsula. Singapore had been British for many decades, and from the harbor it seemed almost as if some little town in Kent or Surrey had been shipped piece by piece and reconstructed on this far shore. Colonialism. Let's get political. We exchanged some laborers for a dozen or so merchants and made sail by early afternoon. Okay, I guess I am indeed just going straight to Hong Kong. That was not what I wanted to do at all, but here we go. Whatever, I got plenty of money. The captain was on deck in the afternoon as I took a turn. He seemed to hesitate for a moment before he approached and abruptly said, "My brother is an opium addict." Your brother? My family is from Shanghai. We were poor, but instead of relieving my parents' cares, my older brother became an opium eater who lied and stole and wasted his days. How old were you? I was 10 when he began. I left Shanghai at 15. I ended up in Singapore with nothing to my name but a shirt. And look where I am now. My parents live well on the money I send them. What of your brother? I do not know. Dead, probably, if not begging on the streets. He took a shaky breath. I have not talked of this for many years, but I wanted to tell you this, monsieur. Things are not so simple as you seem to think. Captain Ong bowed stiffly, and my thoughts flickered between the captain's story and the chests of opium even now in the cargo hold. That's rough, man. I guess you gotta do what you gotta do. My man! My dude! Your attention is very relaxing, bro. We hit a squall today, and we're confined to our cabins. I could hear the sailors shout to each other aside as the ship pitched from side to side. Outside. They shouted outside. Monsieur Fogg, in an uncharacteristic display of humanity, was noisily sick into a nearby bucket. I will whisk away that bucket wordlessly and replace it. Yay. Dude, I will always be there to help you puke. A shine pair of shoes, that is much better. I'm throwing up everywhere, so please clean my shoes. One of the Indian laborers was lying limp in the corridor outside of our cabin. Let's prod him. I prodded him in the shoulder and he moaned. He looked feverish, clammy, and rather warm to the touch. Ooh, oh, do I sense... I think I smell an opium. I pulled him into my cabin and gave him a drink of water. Shukriya, he mouthed, clearly thanking me. He told me his name was Kabir and he was bound for a job in a Hong Kong warehouse. Please do not tell anyone I am sick, he begged. But why? I do not want them to think I am sick, weak. Please, Sahib. I feel like this is an opium thing just because everything's an opium thing right now, but maybe he's actually just sick. That's fine. I'll let him stay. Don't worry about it. Seems like a nice guy. Mormon Desert Railway is faster, cheaper, drier. Great. Good to know. The sick Indian laborer was convalescing on deck in a thin blanket when I came up. He looked over as I walked past. Careful not to make eye contact. He nodded, understanding that I was keeping a secret. Got your back, man. Don't even worry about it. We reached our destination in the promised 10 days. Quite a miracle, and one that Captain Ong was clearly proud of. He shook our hands with great gusto as we disembarked, his eyes dancing. Good luck, he called, and as I looked around the crowded, colorful harbor of Hong Kong. You know, I'm not sure how I didn't realize that I was stowing away, considering the thing that I selected was I hid. I don't know what I was expecting to happen. I was looking over a bolt of bright red Chinese silk when a man accosted me. This man had a mustache so fine, so luxurious, so well tended, that I briefly lost the power of speech. I watched, mesmerized, as it quivered with his every word of introduction. My God. It seemed his name was Fix. He offered me a drink, and given that I had a few hours to spare, I had to lie shamelessly to escape him. Excuse me, sir, I am a teetotaler, thank you very much. We're leaving immediately, I declared. There's no time to waste. Is that so? And where are you going? Yokohama. That's a lie. I've done Yokohama on, like, almost every run in this game, and it's always the same thing, and I don't want to, bore you with me just skipping over dialogue, because I know everything that's going to happen. Nor do I want to bore myself. 5 p.m. Alright, I got time to sell some stuff. Here we go, here we go. Oh my god. Astrolabe, I'm not going there. This, okay, I missed it, that's fine. Beijing, ooh, okay, I'll take that, I'll take that. I'll take this. Sure, okay, good, great, let's get out of here. Oh my god, I have 2 hours. Whew. That was like... hurrying to catch a train simulator, 2015. The train left Hong Kong via a tunnel. We rode through an endless dark, and I began to fear we might never see daylight again. It was as though we were plowing down into the earth itself. Oh my god, is that where this is going? Please let us go underground. To distract myself, I passed the time. What did I pass the time doing? Is Find the Lady a game or a creep activity? Watching the scenery go by in a tunnel? I'll wait on my master's needs. Oh yeah, let's get his eyebrows on fleek, as the kids are saying. I had the sense that he was finding my ministrations tiresome. I left him to it, but went to enjoy the sights. I just want to get that health up. Get that health up. We rode in darkness for an hour or so, and then we burst up into the daylight and the countryside. We were crossing mainland China. Yay! Oh my god, we're going fast. Jeez, calm down. Oh, I will trim your brow anytime. The train rolled on all night and all day, and we were visited only once by a guard who briefly glanced at our tickets and then inquired with unseemly interest as to our true purpose. I lied, hedged, and hid the truth, thinking that such a course would bring less trouble, but I had not counted on the total absence of anything else to occupy this man's mind. He persevered with pestering questions until I gave in. Very well, then. We are going around the world. He shrugged. Okay, whatever, dude. We're going around the world. Oh, jeez. You asked. You asked. Whatever, dude. What a jerk. Alright, let's look around. What do we got here? No airships sailing across the Beijing sky, nor any evidence of electrification. The Chinese did not shun all technology. Palanquins were drawn by intricately worked and gilded iron lions as often as human servants, and I saw animated metal and jade dragons that snapped and glared at passers-by, perhaps to discourage thieving. Furthermore, I was lucky enough to catch a performance of the famed Suishi opera, the cast consisting entirely of hydraulic elegances, automata by another name. I was told it was an ancient tradition begun over 1,000 years ago by Huang Gun, an engineer who made suishi wine pourers and musicians, dancing girls, and acrobats for his emperor's court. True? Perhaps so. But the opera itself, my friends, it was a thing of great beauty. I forgot that the performers were fashioned from brass and iron, that their eyes were polished onyx, that their lips were gently glazed porcelain. I saw only the purity of their movements. We were the guests of a Manchu court official who clearly believed us to be spies or troublemakers of some nature. Despite my innocent expression, which was wearing rather false after so many international escapades, as we departed the auditorium, I slipped away from our host and went backstage. Ah, my friends, I assure you, only a fraction of the theatrical dramatics take place on stage. My progress was quickly barred by a stage manager wearing a carved jade hairpin and an irate expression. What are you doing here? I wish to congratulate the automatons on their performance, I said smoothly. The stage manager looked politely bemused. They're rehearsing now, but come with me. She took me through a narrow corridor to the dressing rooms. Let's see, what was he doing? An orchestral engineer was removing the porcelain face from one of the automata with delicate care. Up close, I could see that the smooth surface was an illusion. The mask was assembled out of 1,000 interlocking segments which moved according to the mechanisms within. Greetings, I said, and was about to add that we were going around the world when the engineer scratched the porcelain with his screwdriver. Whoops! The entire dressing room hushed in horror while the engineer herself whirled upon me in a fury. Yeah, I understand that. That's kind of my bad. Is it serious? I inquired. Do you know what you have done? It's ruined, utterly ruined. Oh my god. That seems like such an uncool thing to do. Just take the mask. Here we go. Oh my god. What have I done? I made my way back to my lodgings to meet up with Monsieur Fogg. A pair of opium addicts were slumped in an alley, faces blankly blissful, despite the emaciation of their limbs. Glancing into my pocket, the perfect automata face stared implacably back. Implacably, maybe. That sounds right. I'm probably wrong. Just as empty of emotion. Oh yes, let's get to Gastown. Sell that sweet porcelain mask. Oh my god, it's expensive. Here, take this. What else we got? There's gotta be some stuff I can sell. Here, have this. I don't want it. Yeah, I don't want this. You can have this back. Sure. Whatever. Yeah, that'll work. Actually... take that. I will take this American wardrobe. That sounds like it's going to be useful. Alright. Let's snooze. Before going to bed, let's attend to my master. Here we go. Alright, where can we go from here? Looks like just Vladivostok. Ooh, that's expensive. Alright, one more night in the hotel. Oh, man. I hope that was not audible. Actually, I should... if that wasn't audible, I should explain. I was drinking some water. I feel like it'd be really weird to just suddenly say, oh my god, I hope you didn't hear that. I just leave it at that. Alright, let's get to Vladivostok. I feel like... did I... let's just click on Vladivostok. Okay, I know nothing about it. I must have been thinking of somewhere else. I feel like I heard something negative about it, but in the game, not in real life. We boarded the Jiaqing, a Chinese junk with billowing pattern sails and a red and gold phoenix painted upon its prow, bound for Vladivostok. Do you take passengers often? Captain Zhao made a small gesture with his right hand as if waving away a stray thought. In peacetime we do. It was not a surprising response. It had been 10 years since the last Opium War, but European powers and Russia still scratched at China's borders. Alright, let's see what we can learn. Commercial port has been relocated. It is now a military town. Sounds like a nice place for me to go. Can I get to San Francisco? Thanks, that doesn't help at all. Can I get from there to Honolulu, maybe? Have you heard you can pick up buffalo hides in Honolulu? Extremely valuable in Omaha. Goodbye! Great talking to you, buddy. Alright, well, I guess I'll just have to learn what I can learn when I get there. Spent the first day aboard in conversation, hoping to find options for our next journey, and I picked up from a nervous Japanese ragamuffin that the traders who sailed from Honolulu to Panama City were always open to healthy bribery. As night drew on, incredible stars filled the sky. It was a most peaceful, beautiful moment. So I can get from Honolulu to Panama. But is that what I want to do? Let's take a look. I feel like... didn't I buy something that's like really expensive to sell? Oh yeah, Gastown. That's in Canada, right? Gastown? 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 Somewhere? Maybe? Oh, it's oh, it's British Columbia. I wonder if I can even get there. But I don't know how. But let's just find out. I saw him reading a Chinese newspaper for breakfast and asked if he would tell me the news. It is out of date. The Shen Pao is printed in Shanghai, and I only pick it up when I happen to dock there. What is the most interesting story? The paper is campaigning against the employment of young women in opium bars in the French concession. He pointed at the article in question, as they are often asked to perform immoral services. I don't know how he'll respond to this. They should campaign against the opium bars altogether, I huffed. I'm surprised to hear a foreigner say such a thing. I spent a stimulating afternoon in discussion with Captain Zhao as the wind filled our fully battened sails and sped us on our way to Vladivostok. Yeah, dude, I'm straight edge, didn't you know? Passepartout, canon, straight edge. Opium, disgusting. Judge those people. The Jiaqing had to dart between the busy junks filling the harbor to find a space to dock. I was keen to see what Vladivostok had to offer and stepped off the boat eagerly to hurry after my master into the city. Can I sell the porcelain mask here? Oh, that's like nothing. Why would I sell that here? Come on. San Pedro, I wonder if that's somewhere I'll be going. I will keep that in mind. San Pedro, maybe. Oh, I don't want to go to Yokohama. No, please. There's got to be another way. Oh, God. Okay. The military port of Vladivostok looked out over the calm black water of the Sea of Japan and was populated largely by sailors of the Far East Fleet and a mix of Chinese, Korean, and Russian residents. I was curious about the foreign residents and managed to chance upon Du Feng, a talkative Chinese merchant who spoke a remarkable array of languages, including French. "We are not foreigners," she exclaimed. "Good sir, my family has lived in Haishenwai for many generations." Haishenwai, I repeated, using the rudiments of the language I picked up in Beijing. It is pleasant to meet a Guelo with some respect for languages. Guilo? I don't know. He laughed. "Most foreigners have this trouble," he said neutrally, and I was rather abashed. Haishenwai means Sea Cucumber Cliffs. It is the Chinese name for the city of Vladivostok, though it was once called Yangmingcheng, City of Eternal Light. The earlier name is more evocative, I opined, and Feng agreed. "Yes, my friend, much is lost with time. Hey man, can you maybe take me somewhere that's not Yokohama?" The hour was getting late by the time I made it back to my hotel, but my adventure here was far from over. An imposing Imperial Army officer accosted me in reception and subjected me to a thorough search. I gave no objection, and he studiously went through our cases and pockets, although of course he found nothing seditious. "Vladivostok is a closed port," he declared. "You will be held while a decision is taken in your case." Oh boy, what can I do? I'll try to bluster my way through, in dramatic fashion. With an elegant, heart-wrenching tale. Ooh, I can see those days going by. That didn't work out. "You will find our accommodation much more hospitable, though I cannot let you move on directly." Oh well. 3 nights in a Russian military jail. We were finally released without much discussion. We were pointed to the docks and told to leave, and quickly. Alright. Guess I'm going to Yokohama. Can I get to San Pedro? Is that somewhere? San Francisco, San Pedro? No, if I'm looking to go to Gastown, that's not worth it. Alright. Off to Yokohama. We avoided the Russian military ships and instead took passage on a Korean vessel crewed by a mix of Koreans, Mongolians, and Siberians who regarded Monsieur Fogg with grave curiosity. Charging £1 for a look at him. Oh god, he would love that. Tried to dismiss their attentions, but it did little good. They continued to goggle at my master in mild disbelief until he retreated below deck, with the slightest of furrows etching his brow. I could not wish for superior valet. "Oh, you're too kind." For the first day aboard, we kept ourselves mostly to ourselves. The crew seemed busy with their tasks, and I was happy to have fewer of those myself. Monsieur Fogg was his usual impervious self, however, and made his calculations and read his newspaper. Meanwhile, the boat steamed onwards. I am now polished. Well, shoot. I should have just gone straight to Yokohama then. Except, oh, I couldn't. Oh, wait. Whatever. What's done is done. One of the cabin girls, Elena, spoke good English and was attached to us as a translator, though she created as much conversation as she explicated. "Do you know my parents?" "I doubt it, since I have only just met you." "My father was a Russian officer, maybe, I think, and Mama comes from a famous Cossack family. They're all soldiers." "A Russian officer, maybe?" "Well, Mama met him when she was dressed as a man and joined the Cossack host. He was very surprised, I think," Elena shrugged. "Mama says he died of shock, leaving me as a present. But I think he probably ran away because Mama is so fierce." She looked proud rather than distressed at this prospect. "That's nice." "Mama runs the boiler room, and all the sailors are frightened of her. One day I will be like her." Elena made a mock fierce face, and I pretended to quake in terror until we both began laughing uproariously. I would like to meet her, I said, and Elena giggled with delight. I will ask, she replied. All right. Fog is getting a little unhealthy. Elena knocked on my door unreasonably early in the morning, eyes bright. Mama says she wants to meet you. She seized my arm. Will you come? Lead the way, mademoiselle. We descended into the bowels of the ship. I felt the heat and noise of the engine before I saw it. The rumbling whistle of the boilers, the shouts of men shoveling coal, the thumping of the pistons, and the groan of metal. A woman with muscular arms sheened with sweat and hair shorn to her ears presided... What? Muscular arms, sheen with sweat, and hair shorn to her ears. Oh, okay, I'm reading that sentence so wrong. Presided over the activity, let's just move on, with well-worn confidence. She glanced over to us and grunted. I grunted in return, and she gave me a cautious nod of approval while Elena chattered away in an unintelligible dialect. The formidable woman regarded her daughter with a certain detachment, which masked deep adoration. The girl bloomed underneath her mamma's merest glance. We took our leave soon after, and Elena smiled at me radiantly. Isn't she wonderful? She breathed. I nodded enthusiastically, and Elena bestowed another bright smile upon me. She seems nice. Elena laughed as I hung over the ship's rail to get a better view of Yokohama as we neared the port. She gave me a hug goodbye, which surprised me, though her mother watched me with hard eyes throughout our exchange. We weighed anchor as the sun set. It lit the foreign flags in the harbor with bright fire as it dipped below the horizon. Alright. What do we got here? Ooh, an amethyst. Burlington, where's that? Will I get there from Gastown? Burlington is somewhere up here, I think. Burlington. Is it worth it? How much does it sell for? Doesn't say. Alright, I'm gonna sit this one out. Should I explore? Is there a way to... Oh, wait. Oh, this isn't the thing. This is not the thing that I thought it was. Oh, super. Or wait, is it? Oh god, I gotta go. Okay. Off we go. Oh, wait. No, this is it. I think this is the exact thing that I... Yep, the hover barge. Oh, okay. Oh, well. I know exactly what happens here, and I've done this one like 4 or 5 times. So, I will try my best to be into this. Here we go. Yes! The Noelani was a new concept, we were told. I don't know what that was. A hover barge making the long-distance journey from Yokohama to Honolulu in the middle of the Pacific Ocean. If only it went further than Honolulu. A little bone-rattling for the sake of a few days' efficiency seemed a good trade to me. But the ship had only enough fuel for the journey, and even then I think only just. We and the other passengers of this inaugural crossing must have looked pale and uneasy as we set off. Even the captain was sweating. No doubt the heat was to blame. Besides, standing next to the captain was our very own artificer, so what could possibly go wrong? And indeed, when disaster struck, its nature took us all quite by surprise. Water. It's the best thing. The first day aboard was blissfully quiet. The ship bucked along across the waves, and I stayed... Oh my god. This is going to change everything. At the rail, acclimatizing myself to the movement and enjoying the vast view of the ocean ahead of us. In the evening, I sat with a Mademoiselle Carlotta, a flashy American gold prospector who was apparently extraordinarily rich, though she carried herself like someone who had only come into wealth recently. Evening came with no sign of the artificer or the captain. Perhaps they were busy ensuring we stayed upright in the water. I don't want to, advertise, but oh my god. I am, craving Chick Fil A right now. I just want to put, 50 Chick Fil A sandwiches in my mouth. And you know what? I don't feel bad about going to Chick Fil A anymore, because guess what? Gay marriage is legal now, and there's nothing they can do about it. Ha! We noticed the trouble when my bread roll slid from the side of my plate and rolled against the side of the craft, quickly followed by another passenger's wine glass. I stayed seated. It was clear enough what was happening. The entire ship was listing to the left. A moment later, a strange noise began to issue from the engines below. It sounded somewhat like a scream. I looked over at Monsieur Fogg, who looked most appalled by this sudden sideways movement. I stumbled to my feet and made for the exit from the room. The shrieking noise from the engine stopped, but the boat did not right itself. Passepartout, perhaps it would be useful to ascertain the cause of this misalignment, my master suggested. Yes, monsieur, I replied. I headed from the dining car to the engine room to find our artificer. Negotiating the corridors was a difficult proposition due to our stubborn tilt, but we were, I could sense, slowly moving back to upright once more. Perhaps we were not about to sink after all. Suddenly, Mademoiselle Carlotta leapt into my path. Passepartout, she hissed. Mademoiselle, what is the matter? I demanded. I have just come from the engine room, she replied, her expression aghast, and Passepartout, she stumbled, her voice a tremor. Mademoiselle, tell me, please. It is Madame Chou, our artificer. What? It is Madame Chou, our artificer. Passepartout, she is dead. I hurried to the boiler room, and it was true. Madame Chou is not only dead, the circumstances told a clear story. She had been murdered. The weapon lay close by. From the doorway, Mademoiselle Carlotta breathed. That monkey wrench, Passepartout, it is yours, right? I looked down at it. Funny, at first I had not recognized it because of the blood pooling around it. But how did it get here? I whispered. And what are you doing here? Mademoiselle Carlotta replied equally quietly. She took a step away and then quite suddenly fled from the room. I was left with the body, the weapon, and a terrible anticipation of what would happen next. So, let's see if I can solve this murder mystery that I've solved a bunch of times already. The next day, the investigation, such as it was, began in earnest. The captain demanded to talk to everyone, but of course everyone had an alibi. The manner of death was quite obvious and had been confirmed. Surely it would have been a noisy affair, General Peters remarked. Did anyone hear anything? No one had. Indeed, if the ship had not begun listing without its artificer's guiding hand, we might not have discovered poor Madame Chou for several hours more. The time of death was declared by Monsieur Jaffer as being 2 or 3 hours before the body was discovered, based on his experience and the temperature of the corpse. But I am no doctor, he added. So your assessment is approximate, I asked. It is, but a few hours at least must have passed between Madame Chou's death and Mademoiselle Carlotta's discovery of her. The flesh, Passepartout, was quite chilled. The scene of the crime could not be sealed because the crew needed access to the boiler, which was still making curious noises. At least we were fully upright once more. There was no doubt the culprit was still aboard, but there was no clues to suggest who it might be. But the weapon, that belonged to us, and had been spirited out of our own locked cabin. That, the captain huffed, is the only piece of true evidence we have, Passepartout. Where were you and your master at the time of the crime? I told the truth. I was taking a turn on deck, alone. My master, I believe, was in the drawing room. Also alone, Monsieur Fogg put in, helpfully. The captain nodded. It does not look good, gentlemen. But what possible motive could we have? I protested. The captain shrugged. I am a captain, not a police detective. Our course is simple, Monsieur Fogg said directly. We are in the ocean. There is nowhere for us to run, therefore no need to imprison us. Here is our offer. Let us discover the true culprit by the time we reach port, or you may arrest us for the crime. I rubbed my hands. A chance to shave ourselves. Save ourselves. Finally, a chance to shave ourselves on this boat. They'll never recognize us, and then we can just slip away. The captain nodded. Very well, you have until we dock. Once he was gone, Monsieur Fogg turned to me. Passepartout, our situation is desperate. You must uncover the truth. What will you do? I demanded. I will consider the matter, Monsieur Fogg replied. There were only a few days remaining. I drew up my list of suspects and got to work. There was no time to lose. Let's check that news. Fog warning. Has gentleman lost mind? Oh boy, I got 32 days left. Let's see how much farther I have to go. That is pretty substantial. I began my investigations, talking to Monsieur Jaffer. Monsieur, you must help me. I am retired, Passepartout, and not entirely through choice. You are the most qualified person aboard. Perhaps. All I can tell you is to consider the circumstances closely, and remember, most people are not particularly good at lying. You do understand neither I nor my master were to blame. He nodded. I do. Someone unscrupulous is trying to fit you for the crime, however. That is very clear. I left Jaffer at the rail, contemplating the rushing water below. Don't die on me, Fogg. I spent the next day at the scene. Several feet had trampled through it by now, of course, and there had been ample chance for the murderer to come in and remove anything incriminating that it might have left behind. Even the dust had drifted away through the open porthole. But perhaps there was something small they had not considered. I hunted in the dust along the edges of the machines, in every nook and cranny, but I found nothing. Suddenly the boat listed, and the machine made a squealing noise. Though not as loud as the one the other day, A valve opened and a blast of cold air shot across the floor of the boat. Then the flap closed, the boat tilted back upright, and the cold air spread away. Presumably it was some regular function of the boat that helped to keep it upright. The exact workings were artifice beyond my skills, of course. With that, I left the engine room. That night I remembered to adjust the pocket watch as we had crossed the international date line and gained ourselves a day. Oh, yes. Of course, it says that. I feel like that's still... Wait, can I just click that and skip ahead? I guess not. It didn't seem to do anything. A few days down, and I felt I had learned very little, or if I had learned a lot, I was too confused to see it. To try and clear my head, I spent a few hours asking questions of Mademoiselle Carlotta. Mademoiselle, you must help me, I began. Mademoiselle Carlotta nodded, though I could see fear in her eyes. Oh my god, excuse me. And she had demanded to talk out on the open deck in view of the bridge. Whatever I can do, she said. Where were you when the crime occurred? I was in my cabin. I have an alibi for that, you'll be pleased to hear. The ship's butler brought me my gin and tonic about an hour before dinner, right about when Jaffer said it happened. What were you doing in the engine room? What do you think? The boat was about to capsize. It was tipping over. I hurried down to the boiler room to see what was going on and if I could help. Did you right the boat? I did, as it happened. There's a valve which was struck. I opened it and the boat settled once more. So you know how the boat works? No, only the artificer knew that. I just know about one simple valve, that's all. What about you? Where were you when it happened? I was taking a turn on deck, I told her. But you seem determined to find someone to blame. Goodness, Passepartout, does the captain seriously think you did it? Never mind my predicament, mademoiselle. She looked at me with sympathetic eyes. It is a terrible thing to be accused of that which you did not do. Did you know Madame Chou? I'd heard of her reputation, of course. That's why I agreed to board this ship. But I'd never met her. Until we launched. She nodded. Tell me of Madame Chou's reputation. She is a one-of-a-kind. A new Savarkar. I don't know. This hover ship is her own creation, and there's nothing else like it anywhere. It will revolutionize international trade if it is successful. Tell me about yourself. What brings you aboard? I made my money in gold on the west coast of America, she said. Now I own a small shipping line, but is it a hobby, really? A competing line, mademoiselle? I inquired. I was hoping not, she replied. I was going to make an offer to buy her whole fleet, but I don't think that offer would be worth very much now. Have you lost a lot of money? No, though I have not earned any either. I thanked her for her time. Have I learnt anything? I could not be sure. I had barely any time left. Hawaii was fast approaching. I used what I had with General Peters. He was a retired army man who had served in Walter and now was spending his later years touring the Pacific Islands collecting rare birds. I asked to see them, and he was more than happy to take me through them, one corpse at a time. Oh, poor birds. Where were you at the time of the murder? I was asleep on the sun deck from the start of the whole affair to its end, I believe. The crew may have seen me, they may not. I don't know. I trust you. So you damned well should, he replied gruffly. God's my witness, Frenchie. Jeez, calm down. What brings you aboard this ship? Heading to Honolulu, he said, because I've heard they have all manner of flighty little creatures there. This guy is a creep. Oh my god. He waved a hand at an ominous stack of empty boxes in one corner of his cabin. I intend to fill those with nature's treasures. So your interest is arriving safely and fast. Just so, and I must confess to being interested in a little adventure along the way. Messy business, this. It is coming clear, I think. Is it? He answered with some surprise. Poor Miss Carlotta is in a terrible state about it. Seems she liked old Chou. I didn't think they knew each other. Oh yes, only recently I gather, but they get on well enough. An interesting detail. What do you think of the boat? I like it, he exclaimed. It's fast and I don't mind the motion. It reminds me of a horse. All except the noises. Which noises? Every few hours it makes a whistling noise like a kettle. Some kind of steam release, no doubt. Day and night it's infuriating. Let's ask him about the other passengers. Tell me about Carlotta. Well, I must say. Indeed, monsieur. Indeed, indeed. Alright, bye. Okay, so this guy is creepy, and he has a lot of dead birds and boxes, so he's creepy. I bid the general farewell, and he threw me a salute. Don't like the French as a rule, he remarked, but you're a good egg, Passepartout, and I hope they don't stick this one on you. Also, he hates the French, which I think we can all relate. I hope that None of my viewers are French. Just kidding, I don't have viewers. Morning came, and the shores of Hawaii were in sight. The captain approached, regret on his face, his cap in his hand. Well, Passepartout, Monsieur Fogg, what is it to be? I believe I have a theory. This time I know exactly what happened, but the first time I did this, I just completely Phoenix Wrighted my way through this. Just like, objection, hold it, oh, what about this? I don't know, sure, this, you're right, I don't know, yeah, I've got a theory, yeah, I know what I'm doing, trust me, I know. Here we go. Mademoiselle Carlotta was visibly fretting, looking about with clear fear of someone. I cleared my throat and began to speak. Ladies and gentlemen, I have brought you together because I believe I know who killed our artificer. Of course you know, General Peters said. You did it. What? Since when did... Isn't that the guy I just talked to who was like, I like you, man, just because you're French? Monsieur, I am a valet and quite unimpeachable. He barked a laugh at that, but the captain called for silence and Peters harumphed an apology. I'm sorry. The key to this whole affair was the time of death. I saw Jaffre frown sharply. No one has an alibi for their whereabouts except for Mademoiselle Carlotta, who was in her cabin receiving a gin and tonic from the butler. Any of us could have been in the boiler room bringing Madame Chou to grief. Indeed, Jaffre replied, but what of it? How sure are you of that time? I touched her. She was quite cold. What if she was cold for another reason? Like what? General Peters put in. A cold blast of air. It would have to be a very long, very cold blast, he said. A wind through an open porthole wouldn't do it. Oh shoot, did I miss the... Oh wait, I held up a finger for silence? Okay, I think I might have missed something, and I might not be able to solve this. No, I think this is right. A coroner could have said more from the blood, but I could not. If the temperature were not a factor, she could have died at any time. Next detail is the lack of a scream. We all saw it, but none of us heard it. I began to wonder, how could that be? It was no doubt, sadly, rather brief. That is not the important point. The killer covered her mouth, Mr. Fogg said. I shook my head. It is simpler than that. We did not hear her scream, because there was another louder noise that covered it. The whistling from the engine. I nodded. The captain turned to him with a frown. It's true that when the boat rights itself it makes a squeal, but it's only for a moment, not enough to cover a scream, not enough time for someone to be attacked. What if the boat listed further? True, then it would need to do more than to upright itself, and it did list very far, but later it tilted when we found her, not when she was killed. I allowed that fact to sink in. The pieces are falling into place. Let us consider the personalities we see in this room. What would a valet know of the human mind, eh? Much less the mind of a murderer. But Mademoiselle Carlotta is most calculating. I am, but you have to be when you are rich. I could not argue. Okay, I don't know if that accomplished anything. The business arrangements of Madame Chou. As you know, the artificer was the inventor of this ship. You may not know she was considering going into business with Mademoiselle Carlotta. She was going into business with me and me alone. I tried to persuade her, Mademoiselle Carlotta admitted. I tried to befriend her. I would have succeeded in the end, but now there is nothing to buy, and nothing to threaten your business. This would have been my business, but I have money. There will be another business. But mademoiselle, you already own a shipping route, don't you? I own several, she snapped in return. I looked around the room. So then, this is what we have discovered. I believe I see, Monsieur Fogg interjected suddenly, a hint of a smile on his lips. You were suggesting the murder did not occur when Monsieur Jaffre believed, but later. A blast of wind cooled her down. Is that your theory? Jaffre asked. I told him about the steam valve in the engine room and how when it squealed open it had pumped cold air across the floor. With enough gas released, I believe it might be able to cool a body sharply, while also, my master remarked thoughtfully, making a loud enough noise to muffle a scream. This crime was committed by someone who understood the engine, I agreed. Someone capable of blocking the valve to build up the cool air and pressure inside in order to release it with a loud enough noise that they could commit their heinous act in secret on this tiny boat. And they planned to cool the body and confuse us about the time. That is most cunning. Actually, I believe that part to have been chance, I corrected him, but having us believe the time of the crime was different was most helpful. Was it not? Mademoiselle Carlotta? Carlotta was up on her feet. Just because you saw me outside the engine room, Passepartout, doesn't mean to say. You wanted to invest in this revolutionary ship, but you couldn't have her, I replied, so you ensured no one would have her. There was a pause, and then the mademoiselle made a bolt for the door. but General Peters was on her like a flash. I always knew it would be a foreigner, he said to her. Suppose that is what you Americans want to be, eh? We docked at Honolulu, and Carlotta was taken away by the local authorities. She did not look like a killer, I remarked. He shook his head. Do you think she weeps when a miner suffocates to death in one of her gold mines? Oh my god. What did I do? There are not many who gain such riches through kindness. I nodded and left him to his thoughts, grateful for our liberty, but then he called me back. Passepartout, I am glad I trusted you. You have proved most astute. I will talk to my friends who run trading ships. I am quite sure they will take you wherever you want to go without charge. At that, my master actually deigned to let the smile tugging at the corners of his lips bloom fully across his features. I very nearly fell off the gangplank in astonishment. Hooray, I'm suave, and all it took was solving a mystery that I already knew how to solve. Okay, porcelain mask. No, I can make so much more. Are you kidding me? I don't even know. Alright, let's pause this. I think that is it for now, because my voice is starting to go. I'm going to go eat one of those sweet, sweet chicken sandwiches, and then maybe 2 or 3 more of them. I don't know why I'm, like, advertising Chick Fil A. They're not paying me. Yet. Anyway. Bye!